Now, please imagine that music swelling, changing to beautiful intro music. There's guitars, there's bass, there's drums, there's a good singer singing. It's the transition music, and we are transition, and we are live with Blaseball Sunday, presented by Blaseball News Network. My name is Joey T. Badger, your voice of live Blaseball, here to host this program. Scared Plain Zebra. Hi, everyone. I'm scary. I blame the mustache. So happy to have you here in the chat, in with us. All right, imagine that music slowly fading away. And here we are, chat. We are, again, through another season of Blaseball. Season 16 is in the bags. So we are here. The bags of holding, the bags of peanuts, it's in some sort of bag. Safe. But we're here to look at season 16, to recap it. And this show's for everyone. This show's for all the new folks, all the old folks, all the folks in between. What up, Murr the Freak 19? Happy to have you here. My intro music's slightly out of tune. I'm sorry for that. If you are new to Blaseball or have any questions, I have so many questions throughout the season, and I've been here since season 4. So please feel free to ask them in the chat throughout the show. We'll be sure to do our best to try to answer those because a lot did happen. And again, Blaseball can be a lot. Blaseball is a horror game after all, and opening up the elections to radical democracy and chance, bad stuff's going to happen. So we are mindful of each other. We take care of each other here in Blaseball. We don't have to pretend like we're positive. All we have to do is be kind. So that's all I ask of you, chat. But well, I ask you a lot more because we have 3 awesome panelists on our show today. So I'm going to ask you to please make the chat go crazy for them because they should be honored because they're wonderful people who make our community even that much better. First, you might know him from Little League as the Game Master. He might be a familiar face in the booth for the Sports Hub. It's John Serpico. Hello, John.
Hello, Joey T. Badger. Thank you as always for having me.
Oh, so happy to have you here. I know that you are a fan of the Mexico City Wild Wings. They did okay this season.
You know, they did okay this season. Mm-hmm. The thing to keep in mind is they're coming off a huge, exciting performance in the internet series the season before. That this is a hangover season. It happens. I'm not mad. The memories from the previous the season past are still fresh in my mind and give me great comfort.
Well, gotta be proud of the Wings, what they've done the past couple seasons. So hey, we'll see what happens this upcoming season. But so happy to have you here to recap season 16. Now, John and the chat, please help us welcome. It's been a while since we had him on a program. He is the voice of, well, one of the voices of the LA Unlimited Tacos. Along so much, been in the booth here so many times. Always in our hearts, it's Benjamin Rees. Hello, Blenji.
Hey, everyone. Apologies, I'm a little bit worse for wear today. I have recently returned from elsewhere, which looks surprisingly like a hospital ward. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'm just excited to try and somehow break down Blaseball. I mean, who knows what goes on at the best of times. So I think I've nailed the mindset for today.
Blenji, we keep trying to break it down. We usually break ourselves against it, but we'll try our best. But how about those tacos, Benji?
Oh, I mean, it was a highly successful season for LA because we didn't get swept in the playoffs. So everyone's a winner.
yeah. You won a game.
I've got a lovely. Wearing my lovely taco shirt from Blaseball Cares as well to celebrate.
Oh, love Blaseball Cares. BlaseballCares.com. I don't think they're open right now, but
they are not at the moment, I'm afraid.
I have so many cups from Blaseball News Network.
Whoa. Yeah, I'm looking forward to breaking it all down, and yeah, it's good. I think good vibes in the taco stand. Good vibes at the moment.
It's good. Good. That's all you can hope for here in Blaseball is just, not good things, just feeling good about them.
It's about running your own race, really. You don't focus on anybody else. Just focus on you and your own vibes, and you'll be okay out there.
Oh, right. You
love those vibes.
Yeah, gotta love good vibes. All right, Blenji, John, chat, please welcome the editor-in-chief of Blaseball News Network, a.k.a. the boss, our boss, the boss of all of our hearts. You might know him from the booth or all the wonderful words he writes on blaseball.news or Twitter. It's Callahan Jones, pensively putting a mug on his face. Hello, Cal.
Hey, everyone. It's great to be here. As
Cal,
always.
Cal.
as is every week.
Oh, is that you? Or is that Cat?
That is me, actually.
Oh, great. Yeah, and that. Well, now
The
it's
most
here.
important thing in life is to be your own number one fan. You know.
Yeah. Hey, a lot of times it's hard. I'm in media. I'm in entertainment. So boy, do I have self issues with my self image. But Cal, I'm glad that you care about yourself this much because you deserve it.
Oh,
And
man.
of course, Cal is. Without joking, stepping away from Blaseball News Network at the end of next week. Blaseball News Network has been the powerhouse of bringing you entertainment through the media of video and words. And able to bring so many people together to create so many wonderful things. The only thing better than to create art is to inspire other people to create art. And that's creating art at scale. And that's hard. So thank you for inspiring generations of Blaseballers. And we're happy you'll still be around, but able to take a break, take a step back, and hey, maybe you do something that's not Blaseball related in your life. So Cal, thank you so much.
Thanks, Joey.
As I sip out a non-BNN mug. Whoops.
Whoa.
Anyways, how about them worms, huh?
Big good on the worms. Worms did big good. Crazy that just mere seasons after appearing in the ILB, they're already looking great, especially after a couple seasons of nearly finishing last in their division or finishing last in their division. They're right up there with the best of them.
I tell you what, actually, I think all the expansion teams have got their ship in order in a really quick fashion. Like, it's so hard to mobilize from the ground up when you've got teams that have been in the league for 12 seasons, and you've got to find new fans or convert existing fans. And I know that there are some good articles on the Blaseball News Network in the process about the expansion teams getting people on board. But I find it fascinating how teams from nowhere, you got to figure out a vibe, and then from the vibes figure out a plan, and then from that plan execute the plan, and somehow do it, while still being a team that has got so much to compete with. Yeah. And all the expansion teams, I think, have done it really well. Like now, the Atlantis Georges are the only team to have never made the playoffs. I think they're close.
It's amazing to think about how many things need to go right when you start out as an expansion team, and all of a sudden, or not all of a sudden, but after a series of steps, develop into a powerhouse, a team that has as many relative strengths as any other team. It's, as you mentioned, it's, they have to mobilize, they have to create a plan, they have to develop a vibe, they have to execute. That's tough. That is, in a relatively small amount of time, building a multinational corporation. What's interesting is, and this is one of the joys of Blaseball, is all of these new teams have access to a global network of fans. So, they're not geographically limited per se. They can, if you have a good vibe, if, the fans figure out what they want, and kind of a complexion comes together, then anybody in the world that knows what this is can start glomming onto it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a testament to the fans again. The fans have always been so creative and potent that it allows that, and it takes seasons. And I think people try to rush it, like, oh, the Georges aren't good. Or I remember when Tokyo Lift first came into the league, when the Crabs ascended in season 10, that Lifts were just beaten up for a number of seasons, but eventually they got good, and now they're finally in the cycle. So it takes time, and I'm glad we've been patient and welcoming to these new clubhouses. But here we are, season 16. What a ride! What an absolute! People have been throughout the season saying, "Blaseball News Network, where are you?" Because of the power rankings for certain teams, aka the Mild League champions, the Wild League champions, the Chicago Firefighters. But the big news, the big story is, we had a team win their first championship ever, and that's the Dallas Stakes. So first off, Dallas Stakes, we're proud of you. Well done. Each of us in celebration, we have dad-like mustaches here in the booth. What an absolute wild series. So we'll just touch on the season 16 playoffs and we'll work our way back to season 16 during the regular season, and then we'll work our way into the election because that's always a big thing to unpack.
Mm-hmm.
The Dallas Stakes went through the entire season as the Juggernauts, winning 73 wins. That is 7 more than the next highest team. That was your Tacos, Blengy.
And even that's the crazy thing. The Blaseball is kind of entering this weird period the last few seasons where a lot of the good teams are really good, and all of the rest of the teams, except for the Garages and the Millennials, are medium. So many of the teams, especially a lot of the Wild Low, 4 of the teams in the Wild Low could probably beat most of the other teams in their sleep. That being Tacos, Worms, Spies, and Flowers.
I'm not sure about the Flowers anymore.
Okay, yeah. This is all, of course, before pre-election talk. Elections mess everything up.
They really do.
But a lot of the teams in the ILB are really strong or really middling. But the Dallas Stakes, they really were able to pull through here with some of this stuff thanks to their incredible pitching staff. And of course,
Cal, just to interrupt you, your internet is a little bit choppy, losing some of your words there. And as the chat says, Graham JRG, you are flickering. So hopefully your stats don't cause us to be swapped around.
A moment.
Right.
What I would love to add on to what Cal said.
Mm-hmm.
The big word in either sports or splorts to describe this situation is parity. To create a league with all of its nuances and all of its moving parts that somehow magically result in 80 or 90% of the teams being roughly as good as the other teams. You have this awesome blob, the fat part of the bell curve. And that's what keeps it interesting. It's for fans, it's nice to look at your team and go into the last few games of the regular season and say, you know what, my team still has a shot at this. That's what is so exciting about a sports league or sports league that has achieved parity, is it keeps everyone really, really interested. The other effect of having a league that has that kind of parity, however they get it, is that the teams that are the outliers. So Arkham Archivist, the first one, Parity. Though Blaseball is rife for parody as well because of the nuances of the lore. But one thing that's interesting about Parity, first one, is that the outliers are that much more interesting. When when you look at a normally distributed bell curve and everybody's in that big part of the bell curve, you see that one team that's an outlier on one side or the other side, and then the question you ask is, well, what are they doing that's different? How did they get to that spot? So it becomes an exercise in variance analysis, which in a
I'll say that for SIBR, our Society for Interpolational Research. Getting into statistics, wow, blah. Numbers hurt my mind just as it is. Thinking about numbers, oh boy, that's 2 numbers removed for me.
Well, thankfully, the good folks at SIBR have been doing a lot of wonderful work that allows us to enjoy the sport very holistically, because they're doing the numbers and then giving us the numbers in easily digestible format. So
yeah. All I need to know, John and Blengy, is that numbers go up as Graham JRG says.
Oh, yeah, numbers fully go up. I mean, there were a lot of numbers in Blaseball this year.
Maybe a record number of numbers, I would say.
Yeah.
Numbers per number.
Numbers per Oh my goodness. Saber, get on that. What are our numbers per numbers? But one number that was absolutely crazy was the finals in game 4, how the Dallas Stakes won that game. The Stakes were going against the Chicago Firefighters, they're down 1-2 in the first three-win series. Dallas Stakes, the reason why they were a juggernaut, why they won 73 games, was because of their awesome batting, their even better rotation. But then the Chicago Firefighters sent up, on paper, an okay pitcher, Akin Harrison, a 2.4-star pitcher, letting up something like 12 hits and 12 walks during that game to allow the Stakes to loop around, score. I think the final score was 13 runs to earn an extra win and then beat the Firefighters of a final score of 3-2 or 3.17 because there was some shenanigans with triple threat. But what a wild Blaseballian ending for a great playoffs that, it was an elimination game for both teams technically, and the Dallas Stakes won so hard they won 2 games in 1 game. It was bonkers.
It's the kind of thing that puts an exclamation point on a remarkable season. And it's very rare in sports or sports where the final game of the year, the very last thing that Blaseball fans see, is in some ways the most memorable. I mean, that's Hollywood, that's storybook. And, we got to experience that as a fan base. And, no matter what team you pull for, to see a season end like that, to see an internet series end like that is really something else.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Sun 2 really smiled upon Blaseball in the postseason, because not only did we have that crazy end to the finals that I definitely watched, but also the Spies Worms series. The Worms looped, and then it was like, oh no, this is bad because the Spies are going to win and that game's over. And then the Spies looped as well, so the Worms won, and after 4 games it's tied 3-3 first to 3. What a wonderful wonderful sport. I mean, Sun 2, like, regardless of whether you're a Spies fan or a Worms fan, I think that happening was the best result for everyone. A, because this is the most Blaseball thing, and B, because it gave more Blaseball, and that's never a bad thing.
Higher Blaseball per Blaseball, a match, something that you've never seen before happening in the playoffs on a huge stage between 2 great teams, Spies and Worms. Worms obviously went on to lose against the Spies in Game 5, but at least we got a Game 5 because of those weird looping situations, and that creates great community and great lore.
It really does. And now for those that are new to Blaseball, I want to welcome, but if possible, I would love to be their. I would love to be their voice for a moment. What does, in the instances we're talking about, what does scoring 10 runs do exactly?
That's a great question. When with Sun 2 and Black Hole, newer-ish weathers, they came here in season 10, I believe. 11,
yeah,
season 11.
Season 11.
Which seems like a million years ago, by the way.
It really does.
Oh my God. I mean, especially because we had the Grand Siesta in the middle as well. So it's like...
that when a team scores 10 runs, in the case of Sun 2, that team will lose 10 runs. That's you might be thinking to yourself, well, you don't want to lose runs. That's how you lose games. Well, that's where the fun stuff comes in. You lose those runs, of course, basically resetting or looping, as we call it. And then your team's given a win. Just without even finishing the game, you get a win. And in the case of the playoffs, it's first to 3 wins. It's not best of 5. It's first the team to get 2-3 wins. And if it's a tie, it keeps going until one team is ahead of the team above the number of wins. But it's such a Blaseballian thing and concept that you have to think about. There's a situation where if you're down by 1 game, and let's say the other team has 2 wins, you have 1 win. And if you do so well and loop, earning a win, but allow them to win that game, that because you did too well, but not super well enough, you lose the series. So it's always extra calculus you have to keep in your mind.
I mean,
when you're playing.
Great strategy from the Worms after they loop to realize we could lose this game unless we don't give up more runs, which is genius, really. Like, genius. Got to admire that strategy from Ohio. Like, can I swivel back around to the Firefighters for a sec?
Oh, please do. Yeah. So currently talking about the playoffs, and I think once we talk a little bit more, I would say the season 16 as a whole is also open for discussion.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes.
Yeah. So obviously the firefighters, I mean, in the regular season I severely underrate. I had them at 20 in my power rankings.
Oh,
And
thank God, me too.
That humble pie tastes delicious. I really underrated the rotation. Like that's why I got it wrong. They performed a lot better than I thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
So in the postseason, here is the ERA of each firefighter's pitcher. You've got their two aces on the mound, Rosehart and Griffith, 1.55, 1.61 ERA. Caleb Alvarado, who is like the third pitcher, 1.67. Even Kennedy Rogers, and this is partly because of the over-under mod, which means when the firefighters have fewer than 5 runs, they perform better. They had an ERA of 2.77. Any guesses what Agan Harrison's postseason ERA was?
Agan Harrison, who single-handedly lost it for the firefighters in Game 4 against the Dallas Stakes.
Hey, it's a team effort. It takes everyone working together to lose. Yeah.
Well, all right. I would say the ERA was 4.
So I'm sorry, but it's just like it would be a perfectly legitimate guess, but their postseason ERA was 10.29.
Double digits?
Yeah.
Yeah. My
For every inning of play, it is expected that you give up at least 1 run. That's remarkable.
Wow.
It's I'll be honest, I'm not even mad. It's amazing.
Yeah, you can't even be angry at a performance like that. It's just you have to observe it as the weird, memorable calamity it is.
Yeah, right. You are, John, and that's. I think Blenji, and I saw both that when we did our power rankings because we both ranked the firefighters at 20. So here we are, chat. All right, this is it. This is Blaseball News Network. People have been asking, "Where's BNN? Where's Bean? Where are they?" Well, we're here now. All right, I gave them 20. They came in second. They fell to the Dallas Stakes in a crushing defeat in Game 4. But they had a great regular season. They earned their place in the playoffs. I'm eating that humble pie. Nom nom nom. Let us have it.
Well, so let me and okay. First and foremost, I don't want to get in the way of any prognosticator eating humble pie. If you made a bold prediction and it came back to bite you, eat the humble pie. Far be it for me to say not, and far be it for me to get in the way of the chat and your fans in telling you to eat some humble pie. But let me just say this. When you're laying out power rankings and you have a team with with shaky parts of their lineup, shaky parts of their rotation, and you say, I'm going to rank them 20th. I mean, that's not a bad prognostication. And if you look at their regular season wins record, again, I keep talking about the bell curve and the standard distribution. Like, they're on the fat part of the bell curve. If you add up their wins, they had about as many wins as any of the other middling teams. And so, if it was one thing where, you looked at the Dallas Stakes at the beginning of the season and said, you know what, these folks are going to win a dozen games at most. Well, then, you'll be getting boxes of humble pie delivered to your house, frozen from one of those sites that delivers humble pies. And then you'd have to heat them up and then eat them for weeks at a time. But, the firefighters had a middling season. They did what they needed to get into the playoffs, and then in the playoffs, of course, the firefighters caught fire. So, again, eat the humble pie. The playoffs worked out the way they are, but no court would convict you for saying that they would not be an elite team.
I mean, I think it's very appropriate that the firefighters A, caught fire in the postseason, and then B, flamed out in the postseason. Like, in terms of spectacular losses, it could just not get any more spectacular than that. And I love it. Like, genuinely, I know this sounds, I don't want to beat up on Chicago fans because, like, firstly, we're all from Chicago. And secondly, they've had a very, and it feels mean, but if you are going to lose the series, like, what a way to do it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Swag on that.
We're going to be talking about this for seasons because it was a great way to end. And, if somehow the Stakes just won regularly, tied up the series at 2 wins apiece, the firefighters were going into that next game with their best pitcher on the mound. So it was like the Stakes' best way to win was to win so hard to not have a last Game 5.
If I could borrow another an analogy that touches on Chicago sports or splorts. It's when Michael Jordan dunks on you so hard they make a poster out of it. You're still on the poster.
That's fair. That's fair. All right.
I'm stealing that. Actually, I'm going to steal it.
That's a
Sorry, I'm
great
going
one.
to lovingly commandeer that.
All right, so we'll finish our discussion on the playoffs. It went wild. It had two great Sun 2s, and that's like those are the kind of Sun 2s you want to see. Game series altering Sun 2. So it was nice. And Sun 2, not trauma. Not a lot of trauma in the playoffs, which was great.
And not a lot of trauma in the playoffs is a beautiful segue to start talking about the regular season, by the way.
Yes, it is. And John, you mentioned something earlier about, well, what made the teams that weren't good bad compared to a lot of middling teams? And the answer is Chorby Soul. Chorby Soul being on the Seattle Garages. Of course, if you don't know Chorby Soul, they died, but now they're back, by the way. Spoilers for the election. Chorby Soul now playing for the Tacos, the Crabs, excuse me. You might notice they have no stats, just no batting, no pitching, no place running, no defense. That's because of this thing right here. If you look at their Soul Scream, usually, hold on, let me show you a regular Soul Scream. Let's look at Tot Fox. Look at a very humble Soul Scream, very typical. Chorby Soul, for whatever reason, has this as their Soul Scream. They have a big old chunky soul.
Just asking a question: why is Chorby Soul's Soul Scream so long?
Because they got a big soul. I'm not sure why. Is it just because the game ban thought it would be funny to make a player with the name Chorby Soul have an exceptionally long Soul Scream? Because if it was, they were right. Yeah, it's hilarious. It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's one of those things where as an audience member, I look at that and I say, yeah, that's about how this whole thing should work.
Well, the chat's saying, yep, that's what happened. So the game ban was like, oh, that's funny.
And this is brilliant because obviously when they did that, I don't know what they had, whether they knew about consumer attacks in the futures, and maybe they thought, well, this doesn't matter because Chorby Soul won't get brought back, or what? Like no one would ever do this, especially when they see what happens with the. But obviously, Blaseball fans are like, oh, I know what's going to happen here, and yet it's that Freudian style death drive. I appreciate this is getting way too into my philosophy stuff, but like sometimes you like. You get the idea, like you get that urge, that impulse to do things that you know are in like inherently bad for you, but that you've still got that voice saying, "Do it anyway, do it anyway." Like Blaseball fans are both the angel and the devil on the shoulder. Like there's a good part of you that's saying this will be really bad for the game, and the other part is like, but it could be so interesting. Just do it.
That may be that. I'm so glad you brought that up because that's maybe one of my favorite individual elements of Blaseball fandom, where it's this situation where, you know, a grand chorus of people spread throughout the world are all sitting in front of their computers simultaneously looking at something and saying, yeah, that would be strange, and then hitting a button.
Yep.
Yeah, it unites the world in laughter and maybe tears, but laughter to start.
And so, unfortunately, all the tears, if Biff kind of hinting at it here. So that's what happened. Game Band's like, it'll be funny if we give him 1,777 souls. And because Chorby Soul was incinerated, I think back in like season 2.5. They were one of the first victims. And their soul length was 4. So suddenly they had 1777, and they were brought back through necromancy 2 seasons ago. And now their soul is 1546. So where did that soul go? Well, extra planar shark attacks, aka the consumers, because the consumers are attracted to big chunky souls. So that's what presumably they eat. The essence of players, they eat parts of their souls. It was pretty crazy what happened this season because of that.
Yeah. Also, apparently, Chorby Soul was incinerated on Pi Day, season 3, day 14, which is nice. Interestingly, we'll get onto the elections a little bit, but I think there is kind of a lot of the people who would like, and I don't necessarily disagree with this. Like Chorby Soul, it was fun for a time, and then it's impacting the game in a really like. There's a lot of that. Yeah, if this put it not quite nicely, like. it can really sink a team for a good few seasons.
Mhm.
But it can. But the other thing is, now that Chorby Soul's a batter and not a pitcher, there is a much higher chance of them getting incinerated, as they did this year in day 88. So, and that we know that it uncertain spreads to teammates. When Chorby Soul got incinerated this year, it actually spread to Elena Bella Hollywood at the garages, only to have another mill incinerated in the next solar eclipse because, unfortunately, Blaseball. But
as a reminder, this is of course a horror game.
It is a horror game.
But we could get now chains and chains of incinerations coming on as well now that Chorby Soul is a batter. And despite knowing this, there are two teams that, well, I say two teams because that's not fair, because they were both Wimdies, but two teams, Wimdies trying to get back Chorby Soul. The Flowers did it first, and then the Crabs did it as well, and they ended up there.
So let's take a quick peek at that, because Wimdy, we're throwing down some very inside Blaseball terms. Wimdy refers to an old meme, old tweet earlier on of a team winning an election with a very low percentage chance. So again, the elections, the more chances you put in, the more chances you are at winning it. But
it's like a raffle.
It is exactly like a raffle. So sometimes you get lucky, and if you I'm just gonna put one ticket in to win that fruit basket. Sometimes you win the fruit basket when someone dumps in 14,000 tickets.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting. Obviously the maneuvering combined with these occasional low expected percentage wins. All of these things, again, if we just look at wins and losses, all of these things happen in a way that somehow creates that parity that I was talking about. But, as some of the folks in the chat are mentioning, and I know I'm bouncing around a little bit here, there are elements of the game that, when kind of a bit goes too far, it does have the, even if the league itself is roughly on par, individual teams can be burdened for multiple seasons with the end result of one of these strange confluences of events.
Yeah, and just to break it down again, the reason why that big soul is important, and maybe if you're new to Blaseball, there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of numbers. If you look at, so the Mills, the New York Millennials had Chorby Soul last. Their E-density, well, I guess it went back down, is what basically how dense the team is. You get wins, you get players with egos, you get players who are with big souls. E-density goes up. If you're denser, you sink down, and the deeper you go, the more likely you are to be shark attacked. And that's the Millennials. Chorby Soul really makes that team heavier, makes it sink more, and more likely to get attacked by sharks. And
the Mills were a team that had the brunt of shark attacks the previous season without Chorby Soul. I mean, they've got that. Thanks to they were incredibly long party time this year, they were able to get a lot of that back. So Theodore Cervantes is now above the level they were pre-shark attack. But Sandy Turner is not the MVP they were in season 15, where they were the consensus best hitter in the league. Like, obviously, when you let people do what you want with them, with the mechanics, sometimes it goes well and sometimes it does not. I mean, yeah, I think we've done a lot of Chorby Soul calls as well.
Yes.
Without actually getting onto the election. One thing I do want to spin back on, because I didn't say, is, I mean, well played, Dallas Stakes. I mean, the collective Dad Conscious nailed it. Like, I know the team is going to be different this year, but they had they've been for years they've been that team that was able to get to the postseason, but burnt out immediately. They just weren't able to sustain it. But now they're in a position where it feels like they've not got very many holes on the roster. Maybe
I mean, looking at it, what a great team. You know, Holden Stanton 3-star, but they did pretty all right. Dickinson Morse 2+ star hitter, but that's it. You get some still powerhouses in the lineup. You have one of the best rotations. You know, you have 4 hitters, so a smaller rotation. I'm sorry, 5 pitchers in the rotation, and the worst of them is Jay Lee with 4 stars. You can't be mad at that. I mean, that's great.
And with the Stakes as well, like, because their rotation used to be so up and down with players like Kit Adamses, for example, who would just it it was so tough to win a game whenever they were on a mound. But because they they were able to plan ahead in advance. Okay, we'll move them out, and then we'll move someone like Scandal into the shadows. So not only so we can then move them eventually up into the rotation, but also so they can get a little boost on the way down, and they can marinate there for a little. Like it's a long thought out plan, which has paid dividends for the stakes. Like I think part of the can we move on to the election stuff now, because I think we're kind of flowing into it already.
Sure. Yeah.
Like I think part of the reason, like.
Any final thoughts about the regular season? Otherwise, really quick, we had loot crates and items dropping throughout.
Oh yeah,
and also glitter. Glitter was there. I don't want to brag, but your boy T Badger is going to. I called it that we would have a weather type that would give random drops, and there it is. We have now the glitter, which seems to be a more rare weather effect, and now teams just getting stuff left and right.
I think that's really cool. I mean, at the risk of oversimplifying it, I think stuff is cool. And there are items, there is loot. That is just another additional sliver of this game that is fun and interesting to speculate on, because you have obviously team-wide effects, you have ballparks that create effects, now you have items that create effects. And I love that. It just the density of entertainment has increased because of this.
Yeah, and another way to give players who have that extra star, that have the different base evolutions, it makes them that much better now. You can't go below a certain point, and now you have another item slot, so it just makes them more impactful and just adds more numbers to the calculus, because certain things like bats, when they're not broken, add stats, which is great. When numbers go up, and we always enjoy when numbers go up. But sometimes I'm not sure if I can find any that there are certain items that will give a team like different stats. Like they'll give them like the ability to siphon stats, like a blood drain. It's just cool.
Yeah, we've seen it. Like it's a parasitic cap, I think, was the item, but I can't remember who got it. So there's a bit of me which is kind of.
Also, chat. I'm going to take a quick moment. There's some heated discussion here in the chat about Chorby. Again, we're assuming best intentions and we're being kind to each other. So please, nothing will ever be solved in a chat during a live show on Twitch.
Would that it could, but alas, it cannot.
Alas. So I recommend folks who are embroiled in any discussions, take a deep breath and just give us hot takes about the season that are fun.
Yeah, with items, there's a bit of me as the anti-capitalist in me is very suspicious of this. In the Coins post-season address, it was very much we were addressed as snack holders rather than fans of the game. Like we are addressed in terms of the money that we try and bring in, and so there's a lot of that which is all. But on the other hand, it is another mechanic for people to try and interact with, and again, it provides some potential for interesting things going on.
Thank you, Rod. You are the delight as always. The Commander Rod, another friend of the program. Thank you for being in the chat. Quack Enjoyable, the garages. Okay, we'll take a look at that. One of a delightful thing that happened during the election. So this will be our segue there. So Quack Enjoyable, I assume a duck in their lore, got a sharp bat.
Yeah, I'm seeing that now. Its element is sharp. Durability is 2. If you go to a really nice kitchen store and you spend that extra money, you can get things that are both sharp and durable. It's nice to know that a duck is now thusly armed with one of those things.
Yeah, and apparently that gives you better base running, batting, and pitching. So that's
pitching
great
as well. That's an outstanding bat.
Wow,
yeah,
that's a very. I mean, someone in chat, I can't remember who it was, pointed out that Quack on Diablo is basically now surf fetched. Which, you know what, I like that.
Yeah,
cool.
I will happily have more Pokemon in Blaseball. Sorry, Pokemon in Blaseball.
Pokemon.
Election stuff.
Election's up. We're doing it, baby. All right. Big thing. The decree that passed was the community chest, getting 55% of the decrees. And it seems like all of the decrees have gotten a solid majority, like actually over 50% of all votes. From that,
rather than just
a plurality. So
I will say that.
Go ahead.
The first ever piece of election propaganda I made was for community chest.
You did it. It worked.
All right.
Yeah. It was like
so Wendy, do you want to explain what the heck community chest is going to do?
Well, the idea is there were 3 different items, Luocrates based decrees. One was goodie bags, which is every time a player on your team scored either by getting round the bases or by giving up a certain number of runs, then a random player on your team would get a handcrafted item.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was gift baskets, which was every time your division scored a certain number of runs, you got everyone in that division, every player on each team in that division got an item. And then community chest was every time the league as a whole scored a certain number, like 4,000 runs or something. Every team in the league had a player get a random item drop. So this is very much it's very much in the many teams one league style of thing, which is very pleasing as well. Also because it's kind of everyone in together, screw the coin, etc.
Yeah, that was my take on it as I read it as well. Is this is all of us are united in our love of exciting, high scoring, adventurous Blaseball games. So let's put in 1.16 million votes for a thing that will, in the eyes of many, make it more interesting to root for more games.
Right, you are, John. So it should be interesting to see how that procs. It's just more items. Just going to make players better overall. It seems like with the abundance of bats, that the offense is getting the boost it needs against a very powerful and impactful defense and pitching that's been dominating the season, dominating the ILB for a number of seasons now. Mm-hmm. So it'd be good to kind of get that swing. And also, items protect consumers, which is nice. Protects against consumers.
But consumers that we wouldn't have had if it wasn't for the coin anyway. So don't you try and play that game with us.
All right. And my headcanon here is, if I'm going to call things, I love swinging for the fences with my hot takes, is that the coin is using the ILB as like almost like a farm. They're farming players. They're getting them nice and fat in the soul, and feeding to the consumers to make the consumer reports, and those numbers go up. That's what I'm calling. That's horrible. That
is deeply haunting. My hot take. I'm going to throw. I didn't have a hot take, but now I have a hot take just to kind of wash the taste of that previous horrifying hot take out of my mouth. Is I am hoping that this creates. Obviously, there's going to be lots and lots of items. We're going to see lots and lots of bats. We're going to see all sorts of things. But my hot take is we're going to see different things. I want to see different and unique things. I want to see one-of-a-kind things fall into the hands or wings or whatever appendages your players use to catch stuff. I want to see interesting, unique, one-of-a-kind things fall into their outstretched appendages.
Love that. That's a nice thing.
One of the great things about Blaseball is when these weird mechanics interact with each other. And we just sung the praises of an engrossing postseason, partly because we've had Sun 2 make a meaningful impact in a big way, which is great. Also, Joey, I look forward to watching Soylent Blaseball when it arrives.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah, it's already.
It worries me.
Seeing a player having their soul chomped and then them being wiped from existence, I felt that in my soul. I felt just chilled, and it's horrible, but like it's kind of intoxicating. But anyways,
and they come back anyway. They come back redacted, but as attractors, which we still haven't. Like now is the first season where we will see those attractor players in teams' active lineups and not in the rotations, or not in the shadows, excuse me. So that'll be very interesting. Breaking down some wheel stuff. Transfuse, this replaced Infuse a couple of seasons ago, where rather than just giving your player a boost, one of their numbers went up and one of their other numbers went down, but the stat gain is a lot better than the stat loss. I think this has been very good on pitches where the only stats that really matter are pitching and defense in some way that I still don't fully understand. But with hitters, where you will need base running and defense as well, it can be a bit of a risk, because you could create a superstar hitter who is like Bambi on ice on the blaze paths.
Yeah.
Whereas with pitchers, you don't really get that same downside. And so I think a lot of teams are very keen to go for the transfusions for the pitchers, where the downside is not as damaging. And the stakes, again, we talked about how good their rotation looks next season. This is the first reason why, because Orville Manco is a better pitcher. And if we look at their second will, the alternate trust, I think unless you've got a really bad player, alternate trust is so risky, but it is, it is exciting. Careful, I don't know if you hover over it, it will show you what it does.
Which one?
So careful. I for some reason I can see it, but I know that other people haven't been able to. It means that your items will not break unless they are being used for a specific purpose, i.e. to fight off consumers, whatever. So they don't just break on random events, which is good. But this, on the face of it, seems like a really bad move for the stakes, because Polka Dot Patterson, good pitcher. But actually,
good pitcher. Hold on. Blungy Reese. I would say a generational
talent. Polka Dot
lockdown. When you think of pitchers, you think of Polka Dot Patterson. Polka Dot Patterson has been absolutely lights out. One of the most amazing pitchers in the ILB we've seen.
But thanks to some later Wimdies, Polka Dot Patterson isn't a stake anymore, and we'll get to that.
And look right here, we have an alternate version of Polka Dot Patterson, losing 5 stars.
5.2 stars,
yeah. Absolutely. Poor Polka Dot. No longer the powerhouse that we all loved.
Yeah, I don't know how this impacts the forbidden knowledge, but
one thing that in talking about the transfuse bit a little more, I as a Wild Wings fan, the Wild Wings also got a transfusion. Sylvia Rugrat, one of the arguably the Wild Wings' weakest pitcher, is now well over 4 stars in the pitching department at the expense of only 0.4 stars of defense. If you go over to the Wild Wings to take a look, all of a sudden, the Wild Wings have a very, very small but very mighty pitching rotation, where
oh my god, that looks great.
Where now we have a lot of really elite talent. I mean, Sylvia Rugrat was the kind of the weakest link in that chain, but now you have 4 pitchers, all 4 stars or more. But here's the interesting thing that I'm thinking about in terms of this transfusion is, think about the interaction between transfusions that, as we've been discussing, really do benefit pitchers. That is a really nice offset to all of these bats tumbling from the heavens, improving the power of the hitters. So everyone's getting better on the mound and at the plate. And so it's one of those million little interactions in mechanics that, only time will tell how they all ultimately create parity or break parity.
Yeah, it's nice to see. And I'll say what's one good thing about consumer attacks, besides it being, obviously full of trauma. People, one complaint about the league is that there's been power creep, everyone getting better all the time, and no way to lose stats. And honestly, it punishes better teams, taking Trubisol out of the equation, of course. That the better you do, the more likely you are attacked, and kind of keeps things in parity. It kind of keeps it's the ebb of all the flow that we have.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of, and now there is more strategy that goes into some of the blessings you pick and some of the stadium developments you do, because now teams are weighing off, do we want this cool new thing like salmon cannons, or would we rather not risk it and keep the E density slightly further down? We've got the tacos up now, so I'm happy to talk about the tacos, as always am. Firstly, the tacos wheels,
shirt, of course.
Tacos wheels came off beautifully. I cannot speak for how other teams divide their decrees, blessings, wills votes. Tacos generally kind of trust the league for decrees. And if it doesn't work out in our favor, so be it. And we put a bit in blessings, but I think tacos do tend to spend quite heavily on wills. And it's why touch wood, we haven't had any really damaging Wimdies in the past few cycles. Rat Mason is the team's best batter. I think because they're not a big name, they weren't Valentine games, for example. Rat's gone under a lot of people's radar but they were the best batter on the team, and Rat is now going to be they've been moved to the cleanup spot in the blessings that we didn't really want, but that's fine. But yeah, they are going to be a monster at the plate this year. And the equivalent exchange I am particularly happy about, because this is an equivalent exchange that was written up and was scouted and is one that I'm really happy with. Obviously for the tacos, we get a good batter, which is very great. Very happy with that. High divinity, I think. So hopefully plays into the whole tacos Church of Dingers thing. And the Mills get Greer Griffin. As much as we love Aldad and they're a solid batter, they struck out too much, didn't necessarily get on base enough for us. And although the trade
just shove them to the millennials.
Well, the thing is, the trade took Garbage out of the rotation for the Mills and put Quiff in. And Church of Dingers, hit the long ball. Everyone loves homers. Although Garbage is Griffin is not an ace pitcher yet. Felix Garbage was a nightmare, and that A fixes up a major hole in the rotation, and B, the people who know more than they kind of ran the numbers for a transfusion, assuming that the transfusion is still there next offseason in the election, and Gwiff with a transfusion compares very well to some good pitchers who would overperform their so-called, who would potentially over pursue their stars. So I really like that trade, because I bias aside, I genuinely think that's a well-researched, well-pitched, mutually developed trade. And I love that. Like, teams working together is cool. LGMB, LDM.
Let's
go Mills, baby. Love to Mills.
No, okay, good. I was like, was it some sort of alternate one? Also, I'll hot take best cheer in Blaseball, right there.
It's a good cheer. It's quality cheer.
Good cheer. Tacos got better, and I love seeing that again. It seemed that on the same page there, a lot of the percentage of votes. That's what you like to see. Those are the kind of team efforts coming together. So Tacos, good job. And we'll quickly try to go through as many of these as possible. We're running low on time, so stop me if you have any important hot takes here. Worms playing around with their Umbra, getting Kansas Hojo in their shadows, which I think a lot of teams should be doing that more, stashing players in their shadows to make a more concentrated lineup and pitching rotation. It'd be interesting to see how that shakes out long term.
One thing that I like about, just generally speaking, because
go ahead, John.
Well, one thing that I Joey, I just really agree with that. And the reason why is I just like the idea of people getting better in the shadows. You stash a player so that they improve. There's something just, I don't know, philosophically itch scratching about that. You take them out of the game, you let them focus on themselves. And then when the time is right, they come back into the lineup. They come back into the rotation, a better version of who they once were. Yeah. It's downright pleasant.
It's what editor-in-chief Callahan Jones is doing. Cal taking some time off, going into the shadows just to get better at life. Maybe these players are doing self-care, they're doing training, they're not facing the horrors of everyday Blaseball life. So it's nice.
Heck, for fans of Blittle League, the Somerville Sunflowers, the team in Blittle League, they have a shadows, and those shadows are developing and becoming better versions of themselves as well. It's a concept that spans universes.
The risk with moving players into the shadows rather than foreshadowing swapping them is that the smaller you make your team, basically the higher risk they are if things go wrong. And in season 14's Only Incineration, rest in violence, Nicholas Vincent,
that was tough.
The Tacos got Rat Batson, and all of a sudden a team that was pushing for another finals appearance is sunk. And that is, again, it's more metagaming. Do we try and make it as short and as powerful as possible, but knowing that if we get hit, we could be hit hard. Richmond Harrison is a Moist talker. Richmond Harrison's my best friend.
Really? Well, Richmond Harrison's my best friend. Reply if Richmond Harrison's your best friend too. Richmond Harrison, longtime Moist talker. bouncing around between the Sunbeams and Tigers, finally going back home to Canada. So happy for that. That's a nice story. They did a little bit of a tour, was everyone's best friend, did a bunch of sleepovers. That's my headcanon. And now they're back home in Canada.
I also think this might be, again, trying to play the game a little bit, because I think Alston Cerveza, who is an incredible player, but I think there was perhaps a suspicion that they would get plundered by a team. So they were thinking, we can exchange them for a player who we've got history and lore with, and who is not necessarily that much worse of a player, but also means that we're not going to get a player kind of stolen out of, I say stolen, legitimately plundered out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was the thing when I know I'm going back to tacos, but when we had Valentine games for so long, the more seasons we had them, the more aware we were that they were at full risk from a plunder, be that by design or by whimsy. Like those idolized players are naturally going to be, people are naturally going to want them on the team. This is a good move for the rotation as well. 6-pack Dog Walker is a bit of a wild ride, and so getting them out of the rotation and getting a Shadows pitcher in, good. I think Canada did had a couple of good moves there.
Yeah, good job, Voice Talkers. Arkham McIvis, do you know that a nice tour of Hades and Hellmouth, 2 wonderful locations to visit? All right, comedy point.
People tell me that, but famously, I think everyone has been told not to go and visit the Hellmouth, and I take that wise. This is a big move for the Spies, actually. A big move for the Spies, because Becca Solis was yikes, frankly. There were, like, in the last game of the season, there was a Taco Spy watch party under Sun 2 weather. No, it wasn't under Sun 2 weather. And the Tacos just smoked the Spies 15-0, like hammered them, because Becca Solis is not a good pitcher. And obviously the Spies got in the end, they got to the Internet Series, and congratulations to Houston, they fully deserved it. But getting that weakness out of the rotation is good. And then this was not planned, but I also think is not bad, because now, they're getting the buff from going into the Shadows, and although this probably was not the optimal move, if they ever do need to bring Becca Solis out of the Shadows, well then, you've got a pitcher there.
It's a brand new Becca Solis coming out of those Shadows.
Yeah,
who is not quite so tragic. So
indeed.
Sometimes, as much as I love well executed moves going off, I also like it when moves that are not fully planned look like they might work out as well. And hopefully for the Spies, it does, because let's go wild low.
Yeah, let's go wild low. Very interesting. It's such an interesting thing. It's like obviously 6% chance of getting it for 41. It's like, okay, we're gonna rest Solis, but we're also gonna pump some stars into him. Mechanics, love to see mechanics did so well this season. Love seeing them really pop off, make a deep run in the playoffs, and they got Polka Dot Patterson, but they got a version of Polka Dot Patterson.
This is not the Polka Dot Patterson that your parents grew up on. I mean, this is Dot's second year with the mechanics. They were there with them for season 13 before they went back to Canada. And so I get there is some sentimentality in that. But the risk with plundering is that you don't know who you're sending back the other way. And unfortunately for the Mechs, they sent back one of the best pitchers in the league.
6.3 star Zoe Kirshner.
So Joey and I called the really brilliant Polka Dot Patterson performance in the season 15, the clinching game of the season 15 Internet Series, and just to see the absolute dominance in that game, and then to click on those stats, it's
less than 2 stars.
Yeah. Wow. And that was one of the greatest pitching performances I've ever seen. And now we have 1.7 stars in pitching.
It's a little bit of a rough break for an expansion team that looked like they made a breakthrough, but hopefully the Mechs have enough talent elsewhere that they can make up for it. A batting infusion for Miralemma. This is good, and this is one of my favorite things to happen in the election, because of the Mech's signature ability from their championships. Maintenance mode means that anytime a player is impaired, the team gains the 4th out for the next game. So because Miralemma's base running was outfused to get the infusion on the batting, that's an impairment. So for literally the first game next season, the Mechs have the 4th out, and then it disappears, which is wonderful.
So
Love
interesting.
It. Beautiful. So good. Like, we finally seen it happen. And it happens, of course, because that's how it works. It happens for one game, but it'll be so nice to see it for that one game.
So if you're in the mood to put down some big game 1 bets, everybody, keep your eye on that.
Keep your eye on that. Yeah, it's so funny. Just one game. That's so weird. But yeah, what a fun like team mechanic. So we're excited that they
and
have that.
Thanks for chat for pointing out that that is the
Yeah,
first,
you can't bet on. I know.
All right.
But,
Yeah.
you can't bet on game one because on game one you rejoice, and that is the first. People say proc. I'm never actually sure what proc's short for.
Oh goodness.
It's the it's the
I
first
don't know.
triggering of fourth out, which is so you know what. At least something good came of it from the election from the mechs. Sorry, mechs. It's good to see that. This is good for them. This is good for the mints. Rodriguez Internet is a player who has always performed above that 1.6 batting, and hopefully now they will perform above for mints fans. They'll perform above their 3.1 star batting. I mean, again, this is going very hard on your wills and getting it to work. Look,
It's nice.
99% of all. A big portion of their will votes going into that.
I know what proc means now, or it's derived from procedure. But proc is now its own verb that means to cause a special event to happen. So,
Thank you.
There you go. There's the etymology of that.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank
chat.
you, chat.
Yeah, it's that chat support. Yeah, it's nice. And that's what and if I'm being honest, at the beginning when Wills came out, it's like I don't want to waste votes in this. I'm gonna put votes into the blessings to help my team out or help out.
I think
teams.
the blessings are definitely sexier,
Mm.
but I think part of the reason. I mean, I don't want to say this is how you build a team because there is no correct way to build a team. Do what you want. I'm not your dad, but I think with the stakes, part of the reason that they got where they are is because they used their reels really well. They had a very long plan to get okay, we need to properly get the weak links out of the rotation. Okay, I like that, Emfring. Thank you. Can you give Em a thank you? Yeah, and so they had, but then so you can say if you use your wheels really wisely, that can build you a championship. But on the other hand, Tackers have used their wheels wisely for years and still have not got a championship. So
they've come close. They've come close.
No. Sometimes you need that blessing to put you over the top. So both wheels coming off Kansas, which is big.
Yeah, Isabeth Guerrero going into the shadows from the lineup. So hopefully they get some rest there. Pies got taking a player out of their rotation into the lineup. So that's great. That's a great
Good move.
Good move.
Yeah.
Good move. An infusion. Gotta love that. Zach Sanders, now a good pitcher. Love that. James Moore into the lineup.
Good move for the Pies this year. The
Yeah,
Pies were
absolutely.
I don't know if they're in the chat, but credit to Phoebe Ielis, who is our Pies beat reporter, who absolutely nailed the Pies prediction in the Power Rankings article last week. Absolutely nailed it. The Pies are very good, but they might need just a little bit of luck to get into that final playoff spot. And it literally came down to the last game of the season. So, and almost literally because the Mints nearly lost out because they got looped. So, yeah. And again, with the Pies, they've really nailed the wheels. 100% of all their move votes were getting Russ Landgrace. And, 100%. I mean, that is phenomenal coordination. And I love that.
I love to see it. I love to see it. I absolutely agree.
That's how you do it. And again, speaking of humble pie earlier, I had the Pies as my number one team for season 15. That didn't work out.
Pie or die, baby. Pie or die.
Pie or die. I died. So Pies love seeing that, and I feel like it's more fun because I dumped all my votes into Wills, and it feels like I'm more part of the team. It's like, okay, what are we trying to go for? Let me help that to prevent the Wimdy, to prevent any kind of tragedy happening. It's just nice. It's just like a nicer experience. Magic, James Moore to the lineup. I love that. Sometimes players back in earlier Blaseball, it was like you have a beautiful batter with great base running stuck in the rotation and they don't want to be there. They're a half a star pitcher, but now we get to move that around, and that's really nice. Great teamwork.
Again, good coordination for the Magic as well. Getting another telephone, the third telephone triplet that I don't think we knew existed. Melton telephone is in the lineup. Not in the lineup, in the rotation in exchange for. I mean, Francisco. This is also good because Francisco Presto is not a bad pitcher, but again, getting a little bit of seasoning in the shadows. Wherever you bring them out, they're going to be good.
Love to see a telephone. Melton Telephone sounds like a company that makes board games in the 1950s.
Fourth strike for. I mean, the Firefighters came this close to winning it all this year. So for the fourth strike is. It's good. Like,
And we
for a
saw,
team like
and
the
we, and
Fires,
we saw that with the Baltimore Crabs when they won their fourth title. That they had fourth strike, and it carried them. You know, they had the mild
of
strikes and the flinch, and this really helped them get over that hump. And firefighters can be in the mix. I might
They
bump
don't
them
even
up.
have they don't even have flinch, so they actually legitimately get 4 strikes. Like,
Yeah,
firefighters are good. The problem is that Sox,
I might have
Sox
to
may
rank
be
them
ultimate.
19. Yeah, I might have to bump them up to 19 in my ranking.
Sox may be
Well, let's
ultimate.
let's not do anything we're going to regret. Okay?
All right.
Unfortunately, the second move has not quite gone to plan for them. There's alternate trust for Sox, maybe. Which, to be fair, they were heavy. They were happy with it. The roll just did not work out for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, going for it 99% there. Hey, that's Blaseball, baby. Now they have a nice modification. They tried, and they get they have a different flavor of meh now for Sox.
So actually, I just as a quick note here. Here's what I loved is they decided to roll the dice.
Mm-hmm.
It's not their fault that the dice came up lower than they wanted. I love that kind of coordination. So yeah, that's it. That's very much that's Blaseball, baby kind of moment.
It was bad, but it wasn't catastrophic, I guess.
Yeah. It wasn't trauma inducing.
Right.
No.
It was just you were playing craps in Vegas for 4 hours. You got a bunch of free sodas, and you had a great time with your friends, and you lost like $30. Like, that's not bad. You know, you lost $30, but hey, it's about the friends you made along the way.
And if you're having a normal night out, you'd happily pay $30 anyway. So
without a doubt.
Yeah. If anything,
speaking of
you probably saved
disastrous,
money.
by the way,
Oh yeah, yep.
Traumatizing. This infusing Dunlap Figueroa is not traumatizing. That's good. You know, the Tigers have a short rotation. Boosting that is good.
Mm-hmm.
This is the weird. What? Unless the Tigers are embracing the cage, I've no idea what's gone on here. Like, why? Why would you get rid of one of the league's standout pitchers, like a legitimate former MVP, and get back Lenny Marijuana? I've no idea what's going on here. No idea. And for the
obsessed over the past mistakes.
I think for the first time in my time as a Blaseball fan, the Tigers didn't make the playoffs, and unfortunately,
well, they did. They got into the playoffs.
They didn't earn a playoff spot through standings. They were, but I think this is again is showing the key of perhaps going heavy on wills is because regardless of how this happens, the more input you invest on wills, the less chance you have of those whimdies or the chaos being embraced.
Yeah,
and speaking of embracing chaos,
a big Wendy, but I would love to see the number of votes of actually went into this.
Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of embracing chaos,
stop. Okay, stop bringing back Chorby Soul. Stop it. It's not fun. Stop it. Why?
It's one of those bits that just kind of got away from us, maybe.
You put Margarito Nava, who is a good player, in the shadows.
Good
for I guess for marinating.
Good, a transcendental player for the Flowers. The player captain.
Is this like 6.5-star batter for the Boston Flowers, Margarito Nava?
Yes, it was. At least.
Well, now they're going to be even. Now they're going to be even better in season 18.
They are. They got some stats here. We also later on the Flowers got the running training for their shadows. So Nava gonna come out. At least we know. This is the nice thing about this is at least the Flowers know what they're gonna do next.
Yeah.
It gives you a path.
There is a path here. We know the path.
I mean, for years, the Tacos have been trying to put Basilio Mason into the shadows, and every year Blaseball happens, so we've never been able to do it. Like, it is literally the first thing that is pitched every season, and then somehow we work a way to do something else instead. But, I mean, this has got to be priority number one for the Flowers. Well, it's getting Marguerite. That is rough. That is rough. What else did the Flowers do in the Wills?
Very good question. Just to recap again, Chorby Soul did get incinerated during the season. They died, but now they're back. But they have not rested here in the Flowers, and we'll get to that as well. Thank goodness.
The chat united in their pleas to let Chorby Soul rest after a lifetime of labors, but you know.
Yeah. This one is a big old Wendy. But also a lore one. Blade Moon originally got rolled onto the Flowers, becoming their 10th batter in their lineup. Got Wimdied to the Millennials, and now Blade Moon's back on the Flowers.
Yeah,
it's just the kind of whimsy that I love, because it's just like, it was just like, do you want to go to New York for a season? Yeah, why not? It was like when Alden Cash Money spent a season in the Hellmouth, and the Sunbeams went from being one of the best teams in the league. And to being, despite Alvin Cash Money being the best player in the league, the Hellmouth Sunbeams were the worst team in the division for some reason. And then they left the Hellmouth, and the Sunbeams got good again. Again, Blaseball.
Player
yeah, that's it.
It's player chemistry.
That's just like it was a weird Wimdy that switched Glade Moon and Schneider Bendy, and it's a weird Wimdy that's took them back. And you know what? Good times all around.
I love it. In my mind, in the headcanon, there's going to be a flower petal parade down Lansdowne Street back to the Garden. Glade Moon waving, all the fans thrilled at the return. I want to sketch that out on the pad of paper I have in my mind.
Oh, a beautiful story. Sometimes you get a beautiful story like this, and this is nice. We're not going to remember this, 5 seasons down the line, but it's just a nice thing that makes us happy now.
Without a doubt.
Bald and Breadwinner now in their rotation. That's cool. Good job. Breadwinner obviously has the Parasite. So now when they strike out a batter, they'll drain some blood, which is this is scary.
Yeah, that's interesting.
This is super interesting because they had that rolled. Is that through an item? No. They had that rolled as an alternate trust last year, and then this is a Wimdy. This is a full Wimdy. Like 0% of move votes for the Fridays were for this.
No one wanted it.
Even though, but actually, I mean, depending on how often the Fridays play in blood drain weather, and how often that, I mean, this could get scary.
Yeah.
It's
not bad. It's like it's one of those ones that doesn't ruin everything. You didn't shoot for this, obviously. No one wanted it except for like one person's like, I'm just going to put 10 votes on this. Oh, it will never happen. But it's not bad.
Again, and there is the curiosity part of me that is very much, like, oh, I get to see this. And also, it's in the mild league because everything seems to be in the mild league. I'm afraid, like the league names are really the wrong way around. It feels like the mild league is where all the wackiness goes on, and the wild league is just, you're right, lads. All right, too bad.
The one thing, I think the one guarantee out of that is that I'm going to be watching more Fridays games.
Yeah,
I tell you what, I really like the Fridays, and not just because they've got Val, who, everybody loves Valentine games, a true journeyman or journey person, I guess. But Fridays just seem to be good vibes. And if you didn't need a reason to visit the cookout anyway, which you definitely did, because why would you not want to visit the cookout? That is that is a great reason, providing you're not at the plate and you're just in the stands, because you cannot be struck out in the stands.
So really interesting there. Love the Fridays, great vibes. Marlowe pitching infused. Good job, Fridays. Some team effort there. Great. You got where you wanted. Wonderful. Lovers. I didn't catch this earlier. Pitching machine goes from the Worms to the Lovers, losing Kichio Guerrera. Not the best player, but Kichio Guerrera has been on the Lovers, I think, since the beginning. So a very interesting move.
And again, pitching machine, still a batter, still hitting machine.
Of course.
And it's amazing how the pitching machine might. Oh no, I've said this a lot, but I think everyone loves pitching machine because just like firstly, it's a pitching machine, and they are also just so good at hitting as well. There's an argument for them to have been the Worms' best hitter. So this one definitely does hurt the Worms. And again, it's just a really weird. It's just I guess someone on the Lovers really likes pitching machine, and oh boy, that. That polycule just got the polycule just got a little bit stranger, and you know what? Fully on board.
Yeah, all it takes is a couple of enthusiastic fans spending some extra votes, and that just means another fan base gets to enjoy pitching machine up close. Pitching Machine, I think, is one of, in a lot of ways, Pitching Machine kind of represents for me what Blaseball is all about. Like just the story of how Pitching Machine came into being, the interaction of fans and the game, and then this journey that Pitching Machine has gone on from Pitching Machine to Pretty Good Hitting Machine. It's
Pretty Good Hitting Machine. I think might be genuinely underselling. Like, they're so good.
It's very good. Pitching Machine's a great hitter. I mean,
an all-around player. Both sides of the ball, even on the mound. Pitching Machine's great. It's
how
funny
easy
because it seems like the Lovers wanted to plunder. They got the plunder, but a very small group of Lovers
we're targeting. Actually, if there are any Lovers fans in chat who could tell me who San Francisco was targeting, because excellent. Pitching. Armadillo. That's a great slat.
Mm-hmm.
Pitching Machine was the player that hit the 2-run home run to cap off the double Sun 2 Worm Spies game. Amazing. Like, how can you not love Pitching Machine? Oh, there we are. Thank you, Frogs Fangs and Thunder. Knights Triumphant, who was pitching with the Georges, was the target to get back onto.
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
I just fun fact about your old buddy Serpico in the booth here. I have not bought a sports or splorts jersey in 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I need to own a Pitching Machine jersey.
Oh my god! Like
that would sell. That would be great. Yeah.
Like, I would want I know that generally team.
Which team? Because the Pitching Machine has been all around. Obviously, a taco is what I think.
I mean, it would be.
They maybe even a Shelled Ones Pods, because they were on that team for a while. Remember that?
I don't know what the logistics would be of making jerseys for iconic players for certain teams. Like, just in terms, because it's not like the way the jerseys are made, because they're sublimated. It's not like a football jersey or whatever, or like soccer jersey, I guess, where you go, like, you get the plank jersey and then they'll print the name on the back for you.
Yeah.
Like, the way sublimation works is it's inked into the fabric. But
it's inked in the fabric. Actually, I take a look at this because I was looking at custom jerseys, and if you look at the game band, they got their Real game band jerseys with their actual names on the back. You can customize it. You can actually upload artwork for just a. You can take the artwork for whatever team and then put a different name and number on the back of it.
I mean, I feel like that's got to be a project. Someone needs to pick up that project. I've
got to be a money spinner, surely. Like,
yeah,
I can, like, how I know I'm aware that we're going on here, but how the NFL releases the list of like the top 10 jersey sales in the league. What a great list that would be. I mean,
yeah, and I would love to see. It may be a foregone conclusion that Pitching Machine would be number one on that list, but I'd want to see that list.
In the same way that you see fans like buying ironic jerseys, I can just imagine a Chorby Soul jersey with letters and 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 letters.
Max them out. That would be pretty funny. All right, let's keep going through these. Milo Brown going through rotation. Georgia's some more rotation changes. A trade.
Sorry, that seems like a very strange move to me and to a lot of people, because didn't we move Flattery McKinley into the lineup last season? This is a rhetorical question. The Georges did that, and then in the reverb, they got shuffled back into the rotation.
Oh no! Good point out. The Sims like, no, they need to be here.
It's just like, sorry, no. Georges. Although it worked. It worked out really well for the Tacos, because it meant we then faced Flattery McKinley in Sun 2 for our second ever sun-dialed proc. Excellent. And then, so with this one, switching Montgomery Bullock for Mordecai Kingbird, this was, I think, perhaps expecting, it may be expecting some sort of plunder to come off with the Lovers taking back Night Triumphant, and so that would have changed things around a little bit somehow, maybe. Because this was not, as you see, it's a bit of a whimsy, this equivalent exchange. And Mordecai Kingbird is like the worst batter in that. Sorry, was the worst batter in the Fridays rotation. In the, I'm really mucking this up here. Sorry, getting tired of it.
Georges.
Was the worst batter in the Georgia lineup, and now they go to Fridays to make them a very up and down team, and they get Montgomery Bullock instead, although not Montgomery Bullock.
Good morning, Alexander Walton being switched. That was pretty interesting. Walton,
I miss
the
Hex.
form. I know we loved Hex on the tacos. It's a good change there. Flinch being rolled to Haunted. Love that.
more haunted is great. Love it.
Uh,
It's just so nuts. And this is now the second shoe thief who is haunted.
it makes sense. I feel like the Shoe Thieves, if you had a haunted team, the Shoe Thieves would be those.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they would have to be after what happened at the end of season 9, wouldn't they? And this is why the plunder for the flowers that somehow worked for Chorby Soul has been offset slightly because the crabs have also plundered Chorby Soul.
Yep. So we have Roadhouse now on the flowers being traded here for Chorby Soul. Thank you, crabs. Thank you.
Yes,
Appreciate that. But the crabs, poor crabs, they're gonna be not having a great season next season, but making my power rankings, which I'll be doing tonight live at 8:00, that much easier.
And then we talked about Austin Sylvester getting moved away because potentially they were going to be plundered by the Moist Stalkers, and they were plundered. And they, hang on, wait,
what?
Wait, sorry, hang on. How did the crabs choose to bring forth Brisket Friendo via a foreshadow swap with Alston Sylvester? How does what? Sorry, what? Because of carcinization. Thank you, Ifbiff. This was this is the crab's signature ability.
I'm confused. I'm so confused.
When they trigger Black Hole or something like that, the opposition team's best hitter will join that team's will join that team for the duration of the rest of the game. And so while Alston Cerveza was on the crabs in the lineup, the crabs decided to bring forth Brisket Friendo from the shadows, who was originally a Breath Mint, one of the original redacted players, which is a great Brisket Friendo, a great name for a player from Kansas City. And they used that time when Cerveza was there to foreshadow swap them for Alston Cerveza.
Wow.
And that is, again, in the same way that we saw like Liquid Friend last year. Uncle Plasma. That is, again, really, really good use of... Yeah, that's exactly what they did. Put off the Plasma Infusion. That's really smart strategy from the crabs. Love it. And Olsen Cerveza is obviously not on the Moist Stalkers anyway, which they would have had to have been because I don't think the Sunbeams played the crabs. And so Brisket Friendo is a crab and Olsen Cerveza is still a Sunbeam.
Oh, there you go. What some playing 3D chess here. Really quick, we're running out of time. We're over time. I'm sorry.
I realized we've gone on too long.
Sunbeams, gonna swap. Stop me if there's anything big. Sunbeams, Joe Voorhees from the shadows. Garen Pantheoside to the lineup. Good move.
Garen Pantheoside is good. By the way, just with the Sunbeams, I know we've got to go through things.
I didn't see this one.
Yeah, that's a good trade.
Oh, very interesting.
Okay. But for the Sunbeams, I think they are properly embracing the bottom of the division because they have shadowed the best hitter in their lineup for consecutive seasons, and they have brought forth one of the worst Blaseball players in the league. So I think the Sunbeams are hoping to speed run party time this year.
Yeah, it looks like it, and it seems like the Sunbeams are kind of like trying to hide their best players so they don't get destroyed or chomped to death. So it's a rebuilding year for the Hellmouth. Jessica Telephone continuing their world tour, being reunited with the Tigers, going to the Lift. So that's fun.
Yep. And then this is brutal. You get the transfuse you wanted on Elijah Valenzuela, and that means it hurts even more when you then roll the alternative trust for Elijah Valenzuela, and it bites you in the bum.
What an order!
Imagine
if it was the other way around, right? It would just be talking like, oh, how smart the Jazz hands were.
They got away with one, as it is. Blaseball is a horror game. There we are. We talked about the infusion for Sylvia Rugrat, and I have no idea about this plunder Aurora Blortles, who is a player who just makes me laugh in exchange for Mateo Cash. I feel like this is a good move probably for Mexico City. Although actually, in terms of batting, they're about equal. So kind of a weird net even plunder.
Yeah, I read this as roughly even. I think Blordles is a fine player. Nice, solid player. Nothing wrong with that player. So I don't feel bad about. Like I looked at it. It was one of those things where I looked at it and my response was a very definitive, "Huh," and then I moved on.
Oh, this is good. This is good. Thanks, Ifbit. The Wild Wings tried to look for a player in the shadows that wouldn't upset the team and approach the Worms for it. That's good.
Oh, so yeah, actually, the clubhouse is talking to each other. That's nice. That's nice. Okay, so it was a trade for a shadow player. Love that.
Mhm.
Okay,
So
that's wholesome.
It's a sneaky.
Prince and Worms, thank you so much.
I've been Wild Wings. It's the only team that's ever been my team. Big fan of the Wild Wings and the fan base. I really am. It's for reasons like that.
I just want to come back to that one actually, because the reason that is a plunder and not an equivalent exchange is because you can't EE for Shadows players, I don't think. So obviously there was a concerted boost to get Aurora Blortles on the idle board so they could then be plundered rather and they get a player back in the tray. Good Blaseball all round. Well done, teams.
Love that. Okay. Going into it, obviously we get sometimes tunnel vision for our own teams and we miss all the beautiful moments that happen. We have like 4 awful things that happen, but then there's these hidden gems that, half dozen to a dozen great ones. So a lot of times it's a good, we thank the sportsmanship, we curse the wind, and we move on.
Yeah.
Rush goes Sunday into the shadows. So Sunday moving out of the lineup. So Wings just got better. Wings are going to be high on the ratings. Clembons going into the lineup, very interesting choice.
Yeah, I like the Dalai this year. I know I made the joke about I'll put them at 16 in the rankings. I will not put the Dalai at 16 in the rankings. They are going to be higher than that for me.
Yeah, what a complete now got player Clembons is too. My goodness.
Oh, and then now they have Nagomi McDaniel.
Yeah, 7.2. 7.2 star base runner for the Miami Dalai, Nagomi McDaniel.
I don't think I've ever seen base running that high.
So high.
It's nuts.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
The risk with Nagomi McDaniel, of course, is that they are super. I think they are super E-dense.
They're super E-dense, but they have no soul. So what does that mean? What happens?
I think it potentially means that when they get chomped, they'll immediately disappear into the shadows. They'll become redacted again, which is a risk. But the Dalai, I guess, going to be hoping that they can make the playoffs again. And I think this is, as I say, good off season for Miami.
Great. And we do need to
enjoy Nagomi McDaniel in the lineup while you have Nagomi McDaniel in the lineup.
Yes, they are known to wander around. York Silk now on the garages. That's an interesting trade there. Mike Townsend back in the league. That was
Mike Townsend's back.
Yeah, Mike Townsend, who was a credit to the team. But doesn't have that anymore. So that's very interesting. They lost the modification. Hollywood going to the shadows. Going into lineup.
Wait, what?
They put.
Oh my god!
And then
that's genius. Use the foreshadow to move them into the shadows, and then use the move to move them from the shadows immediately back into the lineup after they get a little bit of a boost on the way.
That's smart. That's what that is. That's a weekend trip to the spa.
Yeah. And the Mills, I think the Mills fixed had a lot of problems with their rotation, and they fixed a decent amount of that in this election because they've got Vaughn's a good pitcher, again has some infused potential. Chorby Short, 7.3
star pitcher. Chorby Short. What?
I mean, and Theodore Cervantes got a few party time buffs this offseason as well
when they're at home. Wow, Mills suddenly got
the risk with Chorby Short is is that they are uncertain. And so they're unstable. So there could be a lot of incinerations in New York Arena this year.
Can a pitcher be incinerated?
Yes.
Okay. Well, danger.
Because Chorby Sol was incinerated this year. And so immediately with those 3 election results there, and also the taco will that gave them Aldad, Greer Griffin, so they've got a couple of pitchers who are legit aces now. They've got another couple of pitchers who have transfusion potential. Like the Mills did a long way today towards fixing their rotation, which is very good. Let's do blessings quick because we've gone on to time.
We appreciate you. This has been nice, just chilling, talking through these, talking shop. It looks like they might have wimdied the stakes getting the power. AAA blood.
This is this is another reason why Stake's going to be near the top of the league next year. It's a great modification. When a player hits with power charge hits a triple, there's a chance they will overperform for the rest of the game. I don't know who is the best hitting team in the league. I think the Worms are very good at hitting triples. Maybe less so now. Pitching machine's not there, but I mean, for a team that was already good, that is getting better, and that is a big old Wendy. Yikes!
Whoops. Clean up tacos, move the player. Worms getting batting practice for the shadows, so Worms getting better in the shadows. Handcrafted shoes, so Blackburn got some traveling shoes, so they'll do better on the road. Fitzgerald Blackburn, one of the best hitters in the playoffs, just getting better now when they're away.
I mean, this is great as well because the inflatable sunglasses are actually a net negative. So you've got rid of a terrible item and gained a great item.
There you go.
Like that's very good. And I'm very pleased that the spy kick blood came off, if anything, because it's a great pun. They have a chance of reversing a bad outcome with a mind trick.
Okay, I didn't get that until now.
Right. Spy kick. Yeah. Nice spoonerism, which is great. I mean, spies, they won't have middling next season. So, but I mean, for a team that made the internet series to have a blood type like that, which seems like it might be the best blood type out of the three, is good. The spies going to be good again. Goddamn wild low.
Yeah, good going, Wild Low. Psychic, interesting to see how that procs. Get some crates, items. Is this how they get the sweet relief? Best pitcher Sandy to their rotation. Cool. More bats. Bats. Shoes.
Sorry, I want to bring up these two because despite the fact that the shoe thieves went big on shoes as well, they should. Basically, it means that if any players with empty spots in their item build out gained a mod of that type, and then they won shoes, and then they also won gloves. But the problem is, because they just won shoes, no one on the team had an available item slot. So the gloves just disappeared into thin air. So the Magic windied themselves out of gloves. Well done.
Amazing. Alan Cash Money now middling, late to the party. Fiery.
Alden Cash Money with middling is unfair.
Yep.
It's just unfair.
Well, Tigers are gonna be good. Now they have Fiery Blood. A small chance of throwing double strikes. I guess they're throwing literal fire.
There are a lot of teams that were hot on Fiery because of like lore reasons. So Tigers, Firefighters, Tacos. But actually, they've got a lot of players now who'll be good at throwing double strikes. But most of those players are batters, so it actually doesn't help them as much as maybe some of the other ones have.
Well, I bet this will lead to a lot of interesting plunders and trades. Flowers getting shadow practice. Magro Nava just getting better in the shadows. Again, we know what they're doing next time. Madakai Kingbird got pro skater, got the skateboard. Now
Mordecai Kingbird, who is of course literally only just became a Friday today.
Yep, and now, which is perfect. Happy the Fridays got it. That makes a lot of sense. Early riser,
Kingbird to be the new Tony Hawk as well. I like that.
Mm-hmm. A nice handcrafted glove, high pressure. Tot Fox doing well.
Oh, sorry, yeah, go on. No, go on.
Cerveza, ambitious. That's interesting. Overperform in the postseason. Love that.
Yeah, Tacos. We really wanted that, given our historic struggles to deliver to expectation in the postseason. Posterizer was interesting because we didn't know what it did apart from make a player ambitious. I think because of where it was placed and the way it was phrased, a lot of people kind of surmised that it was going to be make a player overperform in the postseason. And it's gone to the Hellmouth Sunbeams, a team who are deliberately not trying to make the postseason.
Well, there you go. That's Blaseball. And that will do it. Garage is doing a lot of stuff. That's Blaseball, baby. All right, that will do it for this show. Thank you so much for staying with us, doing some extra innings.
Mordecai.
You froze and said Mordecai. Is a pitcher no skateboard?
Is a pitcher no skateboard? Yeah, I just saw that myself.
Oh boy. Well, Benji froze the worst time. John, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you coming here, staying his extra time with us. You do wonderful things. Where can people find you and consume your stuff?
Sure. So if folks like the deep lore of something like, I don't know, Blaseball, and you want to see that in a tabletop role-playing setting, then I strongly recommend subscribing to the Splorts Hub, because every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is a great tabletop role-playing live play called Blittle League, which is super fun, and I am involved in that. Also, there's
involved.
Another...
You're the game master. You're like...
I'm the game master. So yes, so that's where you could find me. And also there's a great show on another Twitch channel called 2MB Studios called Knights of Prospect. That's another really awesome live play role-playing game with a couple of overlapping members from Little League. So if you like role-playing games, well, good news, so do I.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you, John, for being here. Do you mind if I put your Twitter in the?
Oh, by all means.
Did you grab Serpico? Is that your? No, you
John
grabbed
Serpico.
Great name.
I tell you, I've had it for a while. It hasn't let me down.
Oh, a lot of great stuff.
It is genuinely a really good name. Yeah.
Another great name, Benjamin Reese. We're doing a wrap up here. Where can people find you about your stuff? I know you are one of the voices for the LA Unlimited Tacos and a general great presence all around.
Yes. Thank you. Certainly for our Dimensions version of Los Angeles, it's I do taco games, so I try and do at least one series a day at EU friendly times because I am going to be spending pretty much the entirety of the next week in bed. I hope to do a lot of taco casts, and although please do not expect me to wear a shirt every time, I don't think I have that in me. But you can find that over at twitch.tv/Benjamin Reese. Which no, that's not even right. Blimey, twitch.tv/Benji Reese. I'll put that in the chat now. If I can type properly, as I say, one taco game a day or one taco series a day. And because I've got nothing else to do, probably do some Pokemon speedrunning and stuff. That's less important. You can also find me on Twitter, where I am twitter.com. Thank you. Twitter.com/Benjamin Reese is where you can find me rambling about Blaseball and the world in general, and Frisbee as well, which is my other big love.
Where can people catch Cal when they come back from elsewhere? Great question. Go over to blaseball.news. That's their website, the editor-in-chief for now. But you can follow Cal at BNNCal. That link is going up there as well into the chat. I really appreciate Cal and all his efforts for Blaseball News Network and the Blaseball community. One more week, and then we can celebrate his retirement. Otherwise,
he's not sneakily listening, is he?
Oh,
because I love Cal. He's so lovely. Great. Like,
I don't think I would say it directly to Cal's face, but we're all big fans of Cal.
We're all big fans. Yeah, chat. Don't tell anyone.
No, just between us.
It's between us. This is going video on demand. Anyways, folks, thank you so much for being here in chat. John, thank you so much. Blengy, thank you so much. We are here every Sunday during the Blaseball on season. Tonight, I'll be doing my Blaseball power rankings at around 8 o'clock Eastern Standard, so in about 3.25 hours. So come check that out. Make fun of me on how wrong I can be. Let's see how low I'll put the firefighters. Otherwise,
it's a cooking show in which Joey creates but does not yet eat a whole humble pie.
Yeah,
I will say that I've got my whipped cream ready on the side just to make it go down a little bit easier.
My disclaimer is this is going to be wrong. Is the first thing I say. I'm going to be wrong, but
that way, even if you're right, you were wrong about being wrong, so you've got an easy out.
There you go.
Yeah, it just writes itself. All right, friends, thank you so much. Really appreciate you all being here. Enjoy season 17 of Blaseball. We'll be back to cover that, so hit follow here on the Sport Sub to get notified when we go live. Again, from the bottom of my hearts, thank you so much, everyone, for being here. The commissioner's doing a great job, and we'll see you next.